intro. Yeah. You go. You intro Dust, and I'll just say my bit afterwards.
So my name's Dust. I come from a human rights perspective, and how that should be the way we define reality with science and the best understanding of what. Oh, we've just lost Martin.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll be back.
hopefully he'll come back. Yeah.
So the topic is: does the media control our minds? This was Taz's. Sorry, Taz can't make it. And so I'll step in for Taz. So, does media control our minds? The premise of the question is probably incorrect. The media, we live in a capitalist society, so therefore we have to use the term capitalism. The capitalism, we are jumping the screen everywhere. Okay, so capitalism and media, they don't care about truth. They care about propaganda, which is the modern day word for propaganda is PR, public relations. So public relations is propaganda, and the media is a public relations machine. It's they who define what news will be brought out into the world, and it's they define what will be brought out in the world, anything and everything that benefits the capitalist. Khaled isn't a capitalist. He knows no capitalists. The capitalists are billionaires. That's what a capitalist is. Khaled is more of a follower of the capitalism. So that's we're going to get the distinction here. What a capitalist is. Khaled is not a capitalist.
But we are talking about where ideas and come from. We're not doing the capitalism anything anymore. Are we still?
So media is owned by the capitalists. So therefore,
okay.
that's why we're talking about capitalists, Khaled. And what the capitalism does with the media, with film. What is the media? The media is film. The media is advertising. The media, I would also include the media is a mosque, a synagogue, and a church. This is the media. They're all the same entities, all owned by the same group, which is the rich. And with this, they control our minds. They control our minds not so that we become better, well-rounded human beings, but in fact, that we become sheep. We become dependent on their thoughts rather than our own creative thoughts. And the media will always benefit the capitalists will always benefit themselves, which is why our media is owned solely and wholly by billionaires. Nobody else owns the media apart from the rich. Wow, we're having I'd like to mention a man called Edward Bernays, who was a modern day capitalist dream. And what he did with the media is make sure that it was turned into an absolute propaganda machine for the pursuit of capitalism and selling. So what Edward Bernays did was, with the media, normalize obsession with buying new things. This was all done in the 30s and 40s, and he used the media to control how people live as human beings. He's the person that developed the idea of obsessive buying, and that all things should be designed obsolescence. He was part of that machine because he was hired by the capitalists to make sure the capitalists get richer at any cost whatsoever. So he was one of the major promoters of cigarettes. And what he would do was use scientists. This is where Khaled gets confused with what science is. So he would design scientists to interact with people like Khaled, and he would pay them to lie. And those lies would therefore become reality. So for example, he developed why Americans eat breakfast, like bacon and eggs, a massive breakfast. He designed that into reality so that the bacon companies could sell more bacon, not only in the mornings, but in the evenings as well. And he used scientists to say, yes, a big, fat, healthy diet is a good thing. and he paid them to do this. This is how the media has always done, and this is the same as religion as well. The synagogues and mosques, they are paid to pervert your mind into the horrific things are normal. Like Khalid is always selling oil, always on here saying, yeah, we need to burn more oil. And where does he get that thought from? People like Edward Bernays, because they still exist, and he will be hired by oil companies, and then he'll go to priests and religious leaders and tell them, and TV companies and the newspapers, and now what we have is the internet. So we have modern day internet content developers, and he'll pay all these people to make this a lie become true. So that's what the media is. It's propaganda to normalize the consumption of this planet and the destruction of it. This is a powerful thing. This is a dangerous thing, and in no way should it ever be. These sort of people should be definitely in prison for how they've abused and normalized not only oil but war as well, and all for the benefit not of the community but for the capitalists, the billionaires. This is what the media is. This is how it's worked. It's now called PR, but it is absolutely propaganda. And that's my 5 minutes and 40 seconds. 5 minutes and 40 seconds I had. Martin's next, and then Khalid. Martin, it's over to you.
Okay, do you want me to do like an opening?
Just 5
Oh
minutes.
yeah, say something about yourself, and yeah,
my
as well
thing
as
was muted for a little while. And it came back in the middle when Dus was speaking. So.
oh yeah, sure. But anyway, you
I
can
should
say your
mute.
independent thoughts, but also introduce yourself a little bit, like where your thoughts coming from or something.
Okay, so I'm Martin. I'm atheist. I'm really into believing in people's human rights, equality, and making the world a better place. Not just
Cool.
imagine it, try and actually make it real. To kind of go from John Lennon, who's like a hero. That song is powerful. So that's kind of where I'm looking at this question from. So the question was how the media controls our minds, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Does the
Yes.
media control our minds?
Does it control? Yeah, I think it does, and I think we've seen. I don't think it 100% controls our minds all the time. We're not complete robotic drones following only what we're told. We're human beings are far more intelligent than that, but we are. The media actively try to make more efficient ways to control us and push us around and get us to do what's in their benefit, what makes them more money, or gives them more power and gives them more ability to do what they want to do. Because you can see examples of that with the politics, with Donald Trump, an example of how it being so clear that this was all so absolutely wrong from the moment he turned up to want people to vote for him to the moment he tried to destroy his own country. Through that whole process, anyone like me was sitting there going, this is crazy. This is 1930s Germany all over again. This is history repeating itself right in front of us. But the message coming out through the media to Americans and here, crazy enough as well, was that anyone that was saying maybe Trump's a bad guy, this is wrong, they use certain words like left wing and socialism, blah blah, as though these are bad things. But if you're coming from a perspective where you want people to have equal rights and love for humanity, then you would look at someone like Trump and you would go, again, this is history repeating itself. What the message being put out right now at that time with Trump and now was that to question him was ridiculous, as though to ignore the very obvious racism going on right in front of your face, it being clear as day. It was ridiculous to question that, or you'd be the crazy one for calling them up on something. So when the media is so powerful like that, it does have in a way, control the majority. When it has majority control like that, it does push people into believing things that are ridiculous, gods, politics, whatever. And those people that are going, hang on a minute, this is wrong. Come on, look at the facts. They have less voice. They're the marginalized group, even though they're the ones talking sense, because they can go, hang on, but the evidence says this, and that doesn't add up, and this is completely clearly wrong. And why are you attacking? Why would Trump be attacking those Muslim people over there? And still, his message going out is that he's good. You know, like anyone with any sense would go, well, hang on a minute. Well, this is 1930s Germany, and it didn't end well there. So why would you cheer for it now? So I think the media does control our minds, and well, to a high degree, in a sense, and it causes us to vote for things or go along with things that are going to harm us. But it allows it. It's like people like look past that and they go, no, I still want this guy in power, even though tomorrow he could have me imprisoned. You know, it's like, how does that work? So I think it does control our mind in a sense, and it has an extremely negative effect. Now, it could be used as a good tool to get the truth out there and to keep reporting real facts of real things that are happening, but it would have to remain impartial and not take a particular side. Just give the facts. Is that okay? Am I in my time frame and everything? Is that all good?
I think it was great, personally.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the real thing I want to sort of say when it comes to media. Am I over or am I okay?
You should be concluding now. Just
okay.
concluding.
So basically what I say is, yes, I think it does almost maybe almost control people's mind, and it does it to the point where we would harm ourselves or harm others around us, even though it's very clear that it would be a negative outcome for everyone. There you go.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. Khaled, you are now the man of the moment with 5 minutes.
Great. So first of all, I want to say I'm a Muslim. This is where my ideas come from. And why am I, excited about this discussion? Very important discussion is because I'm just going to read from my monologue here. So how can this topic affect our happiness? We're also sure of our opinions, yet we have different opinions. We can't all be right. How do we check our opinions so we can work on making better choices for a better world? A good starting point is checking how we got our opinions. So I think that's great. So we're talking about, was it the media? And I agree with Dust. He said, like, even your mosque, your synagogue, your church, these are everywhere you go, your club, whatever club it is, these are all places where you've got your ideas from, and we should assess all of them. Okay, and the next part I want to say before I get onto the main point, which is, what has my ideology of choice? This is how I start everything. What does my ideology of choice, Islam, have to offer in this particular situation? First of all, so as sort of background, Dust and Martin say we're victims of the media, which has some truth, but it's not the only truth. I think we should take some responsibility. And I'm going to talk about how Islam provides a way out so we can think for ourselves. Dust is also correct. Like I said, religion is a form of mind control. It could be a choice or not to be controlled by it. And so, like I was gonna point out, Islam provides, what's special about Islam particularly is that Islam provides methods for thinking logically, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. Also, Islamic ideas work today and have proof that they come from God, like accurately describing the origin of the universe. So you've got ideas. So why would you listen to an Islamic point of view? Because you can see they're solving some of the biggest problems in the world. So Elon Musk says the biggest problem in the world facing humanity is population implosion. The only people who are increasing in numbers are Muslims. So their ideas are working, basically family ideas.
But we
Okay.
have a world overpopulation at the moment.
No, that's not true. That's incorrect. That's if you're behind the times.
Google the population graph, and you can
Yeah,
see it's going
I've
up.
Googled it. Like everybody could Google it. You
Statement
see
made.
dust is wrong. Yeah.
Statement made.
In fact, we only live on like 0.5% of the land of the of the land. So most people, 95% of the people, live on about 0.5% of the space of the planet, which is in the major cities of Earth. So that's not true. Anyway, so let's get into the answer. As always, I start with a verse of the Holy Quran. This is a really interesting way of how to handle this problem of being indoctrinated, let's say. And it says, if you obey the majority of those on earth, you'll be led astray from Allah's way, God's way. They follow nothing but mere conjecture, and they do nothing but lie. So let me comment on that. It is a natural psychological trait of humans that we go with what is popular. We prefer to be in pain than stand out. That's actually known. Human beings rather suffer than stand out. It's too painful to actually stand out. But if you follow something because it is popular, that avoids the due diligence necessary to verifying that belief. So don't think just because lots of people are following something, therefore it's true. That's a dangerous idea. Even if there's truth in an idea such as Islam, so I'm saying don't just follow Islam because it's the most popular religion at the moment. Okay, even if they're the most fastest growing religion, so I call it popular. Christianity is the fastest dying religion, even though it's greatest number at the moment, is what I mean. Even if there is truth in the ideas, such as Islam, you miss the deeper benefits by not studying it yourself. According to Price's law, okay, it is always the minority who are the most productive and so really know what they're doing. So believe the minority, if anything. Truth shatters falsehood. So this is another point. So there's one thing, don't follow the majority, but also if we're not like pure, it's really easy to get out of your indoctrination if you are not going to lie to yourself. So it's very easy to destroy a false idea, as the Quran points out. Truth shatters falsehood. That's chapter 21, verse 19. But people naturally need to be with the crowd, and they let themselves lie and follow mere conjecture, as this verse of the Holy Quran talks about. So to maintain the lie or false belief or the propaganda that you've been fed, you have to follow, well, lack of facts, that's conjecture. And on top of that, when you're faced with the facts, which easily expose the lie, you lie to yourself. You keep reiterating the lie that you accepted. And so, yeah, we have the power. Even though, we've got YouTube, we've got these live discussions, we've got in-person discussions. So we shouldn't consider ourselves victims. That's it.
Thank you very much. Can we answer? I think Bubblegum had. Oh, was it Bubblegum or was it you, the other gentleman? Anyway, so another question about government use the media. I think we should all I'd like to give some time to that if we all would like to.
Oh, was there a particular comment you saw? Did you say?
Yeah, about the government
media.
Yeah,
used by government.
Yeah, sorry, so it was, I can't read that name. Ulick.
It's not his real name. It's just some. But anyway, his name is Nazish. But yeah, it says Ulrich Wolf's Head.
So I'd just like to just answer that question. That the media, again, we have a problem here of not defining what you mean by government. There has to be a prefix. When talking about government, it's an open-ended statement is the word government. So it's very important to say what type of government. So we have a capitalist government at the moment, and therefore they own, naturally, the rich own what the government will do and say. And Trump is a master at media, and because the official media outlets might not like him, but Sky does, of course, doesn't mean he's still not dominating the media, which he absolutely is still dominating the media because of his powerful understanding of how to control people's minds and how to indulge in propaganda in extremist forms. He is a government. He's an elitist. He's the owners of society, and always has been. He's bankrolled Democrats and bankrolled all sorts, and used the media to make sure that the rich stay rich, and everybody else is left in absolute misery. So he is the government. The catalyst is the government in the capitalist system, and that's so to say government again is not useful enough. You need to prefix what you mean by government first when asking questions like that. Would you like to answer the question, you two, or answer any other questions that have been presented?
I think that's a good point. I'm gonna answer it. So he talks about sheeple, as in people who are like sheep. I'm sure people understand the metaphor there. Okay, so I would say I'm just writing out an answer. So sheeple are controlled by flooding the population with an idea. So somebody, these very powerful capitalists flood the media, all the news outlets, social media included, with certain ideas. That doesn't necessarily necessitate you following them unless you like following the majority. So this is the essential problem we have. Okay, so if we're aware that just because the general populace is saying something, you're hearing it a lot, and that could make us follow it inadvertently just because it's the norm. That's something to be aware of and say, I'm not going to follow it just because it's normal or being normalized. So that's it. So if you're aware of that human weakness, human psychological weakness, our need to be with the populace, with what is popular, and then you're saying, you know what, hang on a minute, I'm going to test the idea, you're going to most likely be free from that problem. You're not necessarily a victim, but you're correct that is what the capitalists are banking on. They're going to keep flooding the social media and the news outlets with one particular idea, and then the hope that you fall prey to this human weakness of following the majority. So that's why I'm keep repeating this idea of don't just follow the majority. And if you do fall for it, do question where your ideas come from, like the Quran says. Don't follow mere conjecture, and don't lie when you're confronted with an alternative idea. Don't lie to protect your mistake. Everybody makes mistakes in their idea. I think that's really important. We're all susceptible to it, and we should be open to counter arguments if we ever face them. And that's the best way you can solve this problem, I think. Three solutions.
Martin, would you like to add more and hopefully answer any questions?
The only thing I'd want to add is where we're saying that people, it's easier to follow the crowd. In our revolution, we've survived long because we stayed in packs, so we naturally feel safer or easier to go with a majority. But that would be unfair to say everyone does that, because we also have, like I've said before, and I'll keep saying it, we also have the ability to use reason. We have the ability to use logic and rational thinking. That's not encouraged in education. I don't think that's encouraged, because if it was, it would improve things. But we have that ability, so that when we're flooded with messages from radio stations and papers and whatever TikTok or whatever kind of link is being sent to you, you're able to dissect it and go, hang on, that doesn't make any sense. I don't like that. I'm uncomfortable with that idea. I don't like that, whatever. So that I think that a lot of people are capable of using that, but we do really, really easily fall into a trap of going to majority because it's easier. It's harder to be, or braver to be, an outsider to 99% of what everyone else believes. That's sort of where I come from, in a satanic way, a little bit. So when one of the things I really like about that philosophy is the idea that it's good to be the rebel, to be the outsider.
Yeah, so just to clarify,
Because-
you've got a, let's say, a kind of religious belief called Satanism, because people might not understand that sentence. That when you said a satanic way, people might not understand what you mean by that.
I don't. We're not going to do the whole God discussion here. We've done it
Yeah.
in the other video, but this is where I kind of an example where I can bring it up, because I love that idea of the person that's a rebel, the person that's against the majority, the person that's thinking for themselves and isn't just going along with the lazy. It's easier to just go with the majority rather than make any protest noise or anything like that. And obviously in an Abrahamic world, then that's quite a satanic thing to be, a rebel, an outsider. And some of the bravest people in history have been outsiders, the ones that stood up and said no, they don't agree with it. They got punished, but they were brave enough to do it. John Lennon again. That's kind of really what I wanted to say. I think we are all capable of seeing past the big noisy message that gets put out by the media, and it would be unfair to think we're all sort of robots that just follow.
Can I do my butt-in thing that I'm allowed to do, which is religion is not about, is actually about outsiders. Prophet Muhammad, when he came, he was an outsider, and he ended up being the most successful person in the world, according to or ratings, like influence and things like that. So there's two kind of important things. First of all, religion literally, like I quoted from the Quran, says don't follow the majority. So it's an outsider mentality anyway. And then we're talking about being victims. In fact, we can be really successful and not be victims, even though we're outsiders. That's all I want to say about that.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I just want to
people get punished for not following, but yeah, okay.
Martin, Khalid is a rebel. Khalid's hated by the majority of Muslims on the planet because he follows a very different sense of Muslim interpretation. So Khalid is those Muslims that he says are wonderful, he's actually hated by. So think upon that as a paradox.
Yeah. I mean, being at Speaker's Corner, I think you, Khalid, you're very different to speak to if I spoke to, the kind of characters that are there.
Yeah, there's a lot of violence.
The discussion with you would be very different to how I might have a discussion with someone else. So, yeah, no, I'm with Dust on that. You're obviously, that happens with religion. But yeah, go on, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm a lot less aggressive, and let's say we can have a logical argument with another Muslim. You might just be shouted down and hated. As soon as you said you're a Satanist, there'd be nobody who'd be listening to you. Is that right? If they were Muslims, what's your experience? They're not
interested in you clarifying what you mean by that and that it's more of a philosophical kind of moral idea.
Just a point of order, everyone.
Sorry,
I think it's best to talk about Martin's belief if Martin's happy to do this, in an actual section next week.
Yes, Satanism.
Video. I just use it as one kind of like strand.
Yeah, because we're going to be. That's the topic we could be here all day on because it's so interesting.
Yeah,
but but we are on the question of media controlling, and so I just want to add this. Most people, not we as in everyone, but most people, as I said earlier, just answering this question at the bottom here, which is religious beliefs, cultural values from our family and community. And these are done by powerful, controlling people like the person you have to Google Edward Bernays. He is a major architect in how we all think. And religious people are only religious because of their family. Khalid is really the only reason Khalid is the person he is today is because what community he grew up in. And Khalid
how do you spell Edward Bernays so everybody can search it? So I'm going to put it in the chat for everybody.
I'll put it Bernays.
YS. Have I spelt it right? I'm putting in the chat. Is that Edward Bernays?
Bernays. And then type in the word propaganda and you'll get loads of lovely pages to use and YouTube to listen to as well, if reading's a problem. which is not an uncommon phenomenon. So I think we should do our. Does everyone feel like we're ready for the 1 minute conclusion?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go first because I started off the whole thing. And so 1 minute starting now. In the Abrahamic religions, they want people to be the fool, and they use their media, the governments, to make sure that we're all fools. And I think that's absolutely appalling. That education and reason and science should be our main facets of education to counter this disgusting, gross propaganda from this capitalist media machine, capitalism being a branch of the Abrahamic religion. And but we're not allowed that, because then you will become an independent human being and you'll say no to the horrors and war, oil pollution of this world, and any self-reasoned human being would think that tomorrow is a beautiful place to be, but it can't be that, because the media have instructed that our world should be one of horror, pollution, gross profits just for the rich, and that's all your existence should ever be, and nothing more than just making a rich person richer, aka you're a slave, but the media says it's okay. And thank you very much. I'll now pass over to 1 minute and then just over to Khaled.
Cool. Okay. So religion is always started by outsiders. Look at Prophet Muhammad, always by himself, again going against the mainstream ideas of idolatry. Look at Jesus. Anybody you look at Moses. All of these people are outsiders. The Quran literally tells you not to follow the masses, like I quoted. Another very important thing is that nobody really wants to say that. Everybody, if I ask both of you, you'd probably say, yeah, I'm an independent thinker, right? Nobody likes to see themselves as accidentally following certain ideas. But if we don't accept that we are capable of that, then we become more susceptible to it because we don't accept it. So it's very important to say that we are all sheeple, as it were, to some extent. And once we accept that, then we can be more aware of it. And then I talk about, once you've accepted, what are the 3 methods to protect yourself? Okay, avoid following the masses. It's not like the masses are incorrect by default, or no, it's not that the masses are necessarily incorrect, but just following them because they're the majority is very dangerous. Okay, and then do question things. So as the Quran says, don't have mere conjecture. And then finally, when confronted with an alternative idea, this is the last kind of method of defense, so you can have your own ideas, is be willing to change your opinions when you see an argument that's more powerful than your current stance in life. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you ever so much. Okay, finally, but also by no means least, it's the wonderful Martin. Your minute is yours.
Okay. So to come back to how the media does the media control our minds? I guess I just kind of finished saying what I said before. I think it can do, but we have to remember that we can think for ourselves. We don't have to follow it just because it's easy. We also always look at the evidence, always look at opinions from all different sides, even from the side you disagree with. It's good to listen to what they're saying so you can get your argument and your points in line in your head. It's always good to clash your ideas with other people, like what we're doing here. It's good. It's like a gym for your brain. It's really good. It's really good for you. And don't live in a bubble where you're only getting one message, because then you will be a victim to the things we were saying before. So that's what I'd say.
Wow, you're under your minute, so you get the a gold star sent over to you.
Gold star.
Gold star for being under
behaving.
So I think we should all be saying goodbye now. So thank you, Khaled, for hosting such an amazing little online streaming channel, and I hope all the viewers appreciate
thank you back
all the effort, energy that we try to give, and also we definitely appreciate energy that comes from you as well. This is a beautiful, wonderful interaction between human beings, very different, all of us here, are very different, and all of us here are yet having a great discussion. I am the dust, and I have now settled. You two say goodbye.
I need a goodbye quote thing. I have to be
Yeah.
excellent to each other. There you go.
Oh, cool. I like that. What was that? Bill and Ted, yeah?
Ben and Ted, of course.
Yeah, we're all that old enough to know that one. Yeah, I just want to thank, like people are thanking me, and that's a good thing to be grateful. But you know what? If I was here by myself, it wouldn't be the same show. So thank you guys. In London, you're giving up your mornings to do this really, intellectual stuff. How many people do that? And how many people are willing to put on record, on video, what they believe? It's a very tiny minority. I'm not going to go on for a long time, but I'm just going to say I used to do this for a year of live streaming. And before I got to Speaker's Corner, people generally are too shy to say what they think because they haven't even thought about really what they think. They're very opinionated on keyboards and stuff, but they haven't got a consistent sort of ideas that they really can stand behind. And it takes some thinking and guts to commit to what you guys are doing. And I really, put my hand out to you. And when I used to meet you guys in person, it was always great as well. Wonderful people, just different opinions. Peace, man. Peace. Agreed. So, all right. Thank you. And everybody else is saying thank you as well in the background.
To say thank you to Dust as well. I thank you to Summer also. I forgot
yeah.
Summer.
She's in the background playing her
Thanks, Dust. I mean, not thanks, Dust. Thanks, Summer.
Thanks, Summer. Thank you,
I'll
Josh.
pass it
Josh
on.
sends his love to everyone as well.
Oh,
Josh says
okay.
thanks as well.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. All right. Okay, guys, have a great week. So we'll end the stream and then we'll do our usual figuring out what's happening next week. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, cool. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.